Hi, everybody, and welcome to KCAPC. My name is JB, and I have who I consider to be required viewing if you are a Big Brother fan. If you have been watching this season of Big Brother, you should be watching Mona from Mona's Take on YouTube. She's amazing. She's a breath of fresh air. She tells it like it is. It's been great. How are you, Mona?
I'm good, but you're going to make me cry.
It's. I want to first get started with. I don't know you've told this story before for those people who have been watching you, but how did you start this journey into doing YouTube and specifically Big Brother?
My husband has a YouTube channel, and he's had it for probably about 10 years. He fixes stuff. Whatever he fixes, cars, boats, whatever, he does a video and he puts it up. So this year, at the beginning of the year, he was a finalist for the state lottery, first millionaire of the year. So with that, we didn't win the million. I'll just say that up front. We weren't the one, but we had producers there and they recorded and we did a live from here and all that. So all the equipment that they used, the laptop, the camera, the ring light, all the microphones, everything was ours to keep,
Oh, nice.
along with some other prizes that we won from Louisiana for being in that. We were the Louisiana finalists. So my husband is like, you need to start a YouTube channel. What the hell am I going to say? Who's going to watch? I don't have anything to say. He said, as much as you watch reality TV and bitch about what's going on, you can get on there and people are going to listen. I'm like, I'll try it. And so I started with the Celebrity Big Brother this past season, and it has just taken off. I'm amazed and in awe.
The reason that I think that you are required viewing if you're a Big Brother fan, especially if you are new to Big Brother, is you explain things in a way that makes sense. As someone who I will occasionally dip into the live feeds, but not very
Mhm.
often because it's
It's
a lot.
tough.
It's
It's a lot
tough.
of work.
You explain what happened in the day, and in a way that you give your opinion, but you try to be as neutral as possible, within
Do
reason.
I? Do
I
I
do.
really?
I think you do try to be as neutral as possible. You're like, this is what happened. Then this is how I feel about what happened. But this is what happened. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of times, like, I don't think that's something I could do because I would be like, this person is a dick for this reason. If this person is this, and that's how, because it is a very, uh, you can get wrapped up and get
Oh, it's emotional. It's very
emotional.
emotional. Yes.
Because again, like, these are people's lives. And yes, they're
Mhm.
playing a game and it's for game reasons, but it really reveals the inner core of who these people are as
Yes.
time goes on. Because, like, even people like Daniel, who at first, I was
Oh,
like,
honey. Daniel and Nicole were my picks.
yes.
The beginning of the game, from the first time, I said, they're going to be a good duo. She's going to kick ass. Boy, was I wrong.
I was so wrong. Like, I was like, I don't understand. Like, and it was like watching a train wreck happen in slow motion right
Mhm.
in front of you. Like,
You just can't look away.
oh my gosh, oh no, please don't, please. And
Yes.
it really is kind of this microcosm, especially these last couple of weeks, been this microcosm of life, of what the real world is like. And
Yes.
it's 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 crazy because I tried to have this conversation on a show that I do with my family, that we do every week, and about Big Brother, and they're like, "Oh, we don't watch it." I'm like, you should
Yeah.
watch it. Like, it really is." And their thing is, "Oh, this is so scripted," but much like you said, your husband
My
said.
husband, yes.
And I said, and
Yes.
I've come to the realization that what they show on TV, a little scripted, a little edited. They've disavowed me of my feelings that, when people are like, "Oh, it's just the editing," that I'm like, well, they can only edit what you give them.
Hmm.
This has kind of showed me, no, they can edit.
They can edit, but they can also influence the house guests in the DRs.
Right.
Production can heavily influence the game, and I never knew that before I started watching the live feeds.
Yeah. And it's but you still get who people are, I think, at their core.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Taylor has been such a breath of fresh air in what is otherwise trash house. Um,
I think that that's just her. That's her
yeah,
personality.
that's
No
just
matter where
her.
she's at, she can walk into any room and feel comfortable and be herself and the magnificent self that she is. Um, she's just not intimidated by anybody or anything.
Right, and I think it comes from being in that pageant world, and dealing
Mhm.
with some of the things that she's dealt with and that she talked about
Yeah.
with Kyle. That she's used to being in rooms where she is the that are antagonistic, where people are judging her and looking at her based on that split second decision,
Mhm.
and it's so to watch kind of the beginning of this season and see how she was treated, and me going, I don't understand why everyone's treating her this way.
That was rough. That was hard to watch
Like,
because she didn't know any of it was going on.
right.
All of that was behind her back.
And to me, like that was the worst of it.
Mhm.
And I made a comment in your live that all of this, everything that's happened since the beginning of the show was Paloma's fault.
Um, I don't necessarily think that. Paloma can't make these people do anything.
Um,
You have to have that in you. You
agreed.
have to have that mean girl in you.
Agreed. What and I think what I mean by all of this is Paloma. You have to have that mean girl spirit in you. I 100% agree with you on that. But it doesn't. But she whipped that frenzy up.
Oh yeah, yeah. She lit that match.
She lit that
Most
match,
definitely, yes.
and everything that transpired after she lit that match, even I will say, even up into Kyle,
Yep.
comes from that match with Paloma.
Yeah. And I mean, it's still going on. You have Terrence in there because Terrence was in the mix with Daniel and Nicole.
Yep.
Monty's playing the smartest game right now and just kind of staying in the middle and y'all do what y'all gotta do. I'm gonna sit here and watch.
I'm gonna sit here and be quiet. Yeah.
Exactly. But he did in the beginning too talk about Taylor.
Yeah.
Um,
All of them did.
yeah. And so, you know, from my perspective, she liked Shonda, Brittany, and Michael because Brittany and Michael were the only ones that would give her the time of day.
Yep.
So you can't be mad about it.
You can't be like. There's no way that you can be upset with Taylor for riding with Brittany and Michael when nobody else would talk to Taylor. Brittany and Michael would talk to her.
And I'm
When
gonna tell you, out of everybody in that house, Michael's the one I'd ride with.
I would
just
too.
saying.
Now, don't get me wrong.
Just saying.
First chance I could get Michael out of there, he got to go.
But it would be before I got some others out first, so he could help me with that. I'd
Yeah,
ride along till
till the wheels fell off. Now these wheels
yeah.
are gonna fall off.
Oh yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. It depends on his comp wins. He has to win every single veto for the rest of the season.
Yeah, because as soon as they can get Michael out, they're gonna get Michael out. We jumped ahead about from where I was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, totally fine. It's great because I want to get back to Michael because I have some thoughts on Michael as as a strategy in a
Yes,
second. But I wanted to talk about. So you've been watching Big Brother since the very beginning.
yes. Since
Um,
season one.
what do you think has changed between season 1 and season 24? Like,
Um, the first thing I've noticed is America used to have more of a voice. When they played Big Brother, we voted on where they had the haves and have-nots. They had punishments. We voted on what punishments they would get, what food they would be able to eat. We have had a vote in evictions. We have had where we stole the HOH's reign and were able to do it. they had all of this neat stuff, and it stopped. I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. But America used to have more of an involvement in the game. We didn't just vote for America's favorite player. We were part of the game.
Oh wow. See, that would have added a. Oh, how would this game have been so different?
And they had one year where they had one specific player, and he was America's player. So every move that he made, America voted on it, and he had to do what America told him to do.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I mean, they had some awesome twists when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, because I
But
haven't liked any of the twists so far this season. Not a
no,
single
they've been
one.
horrible, horrible,
They've been terrible. But like those having America actually have a voice, that would have changed this season
dramatically
dramatically.
from day one.
Just imagine, like, a I think Daniel would have been gone week 2.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle would have been gone week 4. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been
Yeah,
like and maybe the house guests wouldn't have known what the reason for people being gone.
yeah,
But it would have been like, oh, they did something. I don't know what they did, but
and I think that I mean even in last year with the cookout, we got to vote on one of the challenges that they had were who would get the money. They had like a bank to be able to play in a veto or something. They had to gain money. Tiffany could tell this better than I can, but we would vote on, okay, this one gets $100, this one gets $75, this one gets $50, and they would go into a room and open an envelope and say, okay, I have $50, but I'm not going to gamble it. I'm going to save it because they may need it in a future competition. So America was able to show which of the house guests that was really loved by America. You could tell by what they were getting.
right. So I
So
wonder. It makes me wonder why they didn't do any of that for this season.
I don't know. This season has been a train wreck from the start.
It,
Um, I had followed Spoiler King on Twitter. He had
I
since
miss
taken
Spoiler
his,
King.
I miss him so bad. He was taking his countdown. But in the beginning, he said, and he's been right 100% of the time. The man never been wrong. He said that Grodner's favorites were Nicole, Jasmine, and Kyle. When Nicole got voted out, she got pissed off and left the studio. Yeah, she went home. I mean, she tried. She wanted them to twist the game so that her favorites would stay in, and it's just not working out for her. Kyle was the last one.
Oh wow.
So who's she rooting for now? And that's the executive producer.
Right. Like you can't have your finger on the button of
No,
the game.
if this is supposed to be a social experiment, and you've got 16 people living in a house that don't know each other, let the experiment take place.
Let it
Don't
play
try
out.
to interfere in it.
Let it like you let it play out, which is it's such an interesting thing to watch. The like as toxic as BB Twitter it has been in the last couple of
Oh,
weeks.
it's always like that, baby. Every year, it's always like that.
It has been a really interesting thing to watch that you can at a glance tell the people who just watch the television show and the people who like are in the live feeds and in the community and really in the trenches because y'all are doing the Lord's work.
And you can tell the ones that watch the TV show, but you can also tell the ones that just watch the recaps. And you can tell by listening to them which recaps they're listening to. Because when I came into this, I named it Mona's Take because it's my take, it's my opinion, that's what I'm giving. You can give me yours and we can have a discussion, but I don't have to stay neutral.
Right.
That's not my thing. That's not my gig. So you can tell the ones that actually watch the show, just watch recaps, or watch recaps and the feeds, because then you have different perspectives all the way around.
Right. And it's like I said, I tried to do those live feed streets. I can't do it. I can't. Because there's so much, especially, and I don't know if this season has been more of the feeds being down than usual.
It has a
Um,
lot more, and it's going down again today, folks. Just to let you know.
but it's like,
Uh, Terrence is going to call a house meeting today. So after the veto, the feeds are going to be down again.
listen, I was gonna wait before I cuss Terrence out, but it's time. It's time. It's time for Terrence to get his just desserts. That is
Oh,
the. This is okay. I'm gonna say this, and I want it to be taken in the spirit
peace and
of
love.
huh
Peace and love.
and of peace and love. Terrence is as a person of color, as a black identified person of color. Terrence is the worst of us. And I mean that to say, Terrence is, as I am, not only am I a black identified person of color, I'm also a gay male, and so I look at things from this lens of like, I'm marching for everybody. I'm marching
Yeah,
for women. I'm marching for people of color. I'm marching for the LGBT community. I'm marching. When I see injustice, I'm going to point it out, no matter where it is at.
yeah.
Terrence is one of those people who can't see past who he is to
Mhm.
look into the humanity of someone else. And by the way that he talks about women,
Mhm.
specifically black women on this show,
I
tells
mean,
me,
actually, if you were listening to Terrence, you would think he's like 70 years old and he's back in the Stone Ages,
yeah,
and he's woman, get in the kitchen and make me something to eat.
yeah, it is a, he has a toxic way about him that is, to me offensive and gross.
Yeah,
And in the very beginning, I was like, I would really like to see, I'm not gonna lie, I'm rooting for everybody black. I want to see Taylor, wanted to see Taylor win. I wanted to see Monty win. There was for 10 seconds, I wanted to see Jasmine win, and then she opened her
oh
mouth, and I
hell,
went,
oh hell.
"No, I
Yeah.
don't. Nope, nope. I can't deal with that voice all season long. I'm not gonna do it." But I was rooting for, because I missed the cookout. I didn't watch that season.
Oh, you got,
Um,
if you haven't watched that season, you need to go back and watch that season from beginning to end. And
and
then you need to listen to Miss Tiffany on Twitter because
I've
that
watched.
woman,
She's so
she's awesome. But yeah, you need to go watch that season.
yeah. I watched like some clips of the season. But I feel like that it should be required viewing is watching
Yes.
that season, and that will kind of bring us to we are now, because I thought, like, as I found out about the cookout on Twitter. It's kind of how I got introduced to Big Brother Twitter.
Mhm.
Because I saw, oh, what's this cookout thing, and I looked at it, and I'm like, oh, the first Black House guest won on Twitter, and I was like, wait a minute, this show has been on since I was like 18.
This is the 24th year.
Yeah, I was like, and here I am looking at, like, I'm like, this show's been on forever. What do you mean there's never been a black winner? Like, there had to been. And then I started
And
reading.
and there's even worse than that is there's never been a black winner, and most of the people who are of color don't even make it to the jury.
Yeah,
So they not only got the six of them to the final six and had a black winner, but they also had five of them
five of them in the
in
jury,
the jury.
which was the
That's never
only
been done.
way they were going to have a black winner. So I and as soon as I said that, I said, well, that'll be the last time that happens. That was the first thought in my mind.
Yeah.
Um, and so then to watch kind of this season play out, because I was like, I started watching Big Brother with the celebrity, and I watched the celebrity because the cast I thought that had been announced was not the cast we got, and I was
Yeah, I remember
really
that.
excited about the cast that was announced,
Yeah.
because it was Nene Leakes from Real Housewives of
I
Atlanta,
was looking for that. Oh,
and
I was down for that.
and Tiffany Pollard, New York from Flavor of Love, and I was like, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
And we got the cast that we got, and I was like, where's Nene? No,
Yeah.
I love Cynthia. I
love
love
Cynthia too, but I would have much rather seen Nene in that house.
Nene would have rode through that house
She
like
would
a
have slayed them.
steamroller. She would have been bulldozed. She would have bulldozed that entire house.
Yep.
I was like, this is gonna be a great season, so I'm gonna watch it. So that's when I started like watching and got really into it. And at the beginning, I was like, okay, Cynthia and Todrick are my two. If I don't get Cynthia and Todrick, I want queer eye guy. I can't remember his name right now.
Carson.
I was like Carson. And then there was one other person that left early on that was my pick too.
Kirkpatrick.
Yeah.
Not Kirkpatrick. Yeah, he was.
He was good, but he took himself out. But there was one early on that I was like, that's mine. Those are my ones. And then the more I saw Todrick be Todrick.
Did you actually watch the live feeds for that?
No, I watched a couple of live feeds, and I heard some of the things that he said.
Oh.
And I was like, I can't get behind. And to the point where they could not clean up Todrick's edit.
No, they couldn't. I mean, he was just so. His were personal attacks, and he would talk vile shit about the people in the house.
When he told Kirkpatrick that his son would be ashamed of him, that was when I went. I can't. And again, like I had been a.
Kirkpatrick actually went to a hotel that night.
He did what?
They put Kirkpatrick in a hotel that night.
Really? Because I'd have fought him.
Oh yeah, he was pissed.
I would have fought him. That we would have been moving furniture in the house. But it was one of those things where like I was before watching Celebrity Big Brother, I wasn't necessarily a fan of Todrick. I was familiar with his work, and I thought he was very talented. And so if he put something out, like especially when he was doing like the Disney stuff, I was like, very talented, very creative, amazing person for that. Now I'm like, I can't support you because I can't see myself getting behind someone who can be that vile of a person.
Mm-hmm.
And someone in your live feed said that they're gonna be okay because they're celebrities and they're rich and this and that. And I'm like,
but Todrick ain't as rich
as he thinks he is, or as he says he is. And also that took a very big chunk out of his fan base, because a lot of his fan base were those Taylor Swift fans who, because they were good friends. Mm-hmm. And so, like, when you look the way that he did on TV, there's no coming back from that, you know? And I'm sure that there'll still be people who didn't watch Big Brother or who didn't, who are going to still support. But I think the majority of people are like,
yeah.
Because it really can ruin. If you're on a good trajectory, who you are comes through on this show. And it can ruin a lot of things for you.
Well, he kept saying that he needed the money for this tour that's coming up. That's why he was playing. He wanted to win this money for this tour that he was getting ready to start. And Page Six came out, I guess it was 4 months later, and said that the house that he was ranting about and talking about the whole time he was in there, he didn't really own. He rented it. And he was 3 months behind on it and was served an eviction notice.
So maybe that tour, you should have been on, rather than being in the Big Brother house, you should have been on that tour.
Exactly. So he didn't have as much money as
he didn't have as much money as he thought he did. But and it's, I think that like someone like Kyle is going to come out and realize that I don't know, because there is a ardent fan base that says that Kyle did nothing wrong, and you know, I think a lot of them are casuals, but some of them aren't. But you can't. That is what it is.
I started out taking up for Kyle. When all this first started, I said Kyle is not a racist. That's a normal thought for him to come into that house because of the cookout last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that actually started, and a lot of people don't know that. That actually started with Daniel. When Nicole was getting evicted, Daniel set her down in the bubble room and told her that she needed to be careful because there was a cookout 2.0. And she said, "No, there's not. What are you talking about?" He said, "I'm telling you, there's a cookout 2.0." And she said, "No, there's not. They wouldn't have voted Amira out." And he said, "I'm telling you, open your eyes." So then he leaves the house. So then she's on the block the next week. She tells Kyle this, gets the stuff that was already going on in his head,
Yeah.
and just expands it. And a lot of it I didn't see because it wasn't on the feeds. It wasn't until Michael started talking and telling Monty and Taylor and Turner what had happened. And he said a lot of things that I didn't hear on the feeds. So it had to have been when the cameras were down or the feeds were down. But one of them is he was talking to them about this alliance. And he said, "We've got to do something. There's a cookout 2.2. I know that Monty and, well, y'all saw it on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
I know that Monty, Terrence are close. Jasmine, I think he named Indy, Joseph." And he said, "We've got to do something about this." He's talking to Michael, which is gay.
Yeah.
And he says to him, "We've got to get together. We've got to do something. As a straight male, I'm screwed." And that to me was like, or he said straight white male.
He said straight white male, I'm screwed. Right.
Yeah, it's a straight white screwed. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something to this, you know? And so then I started seeing the stuff that people were saying he said in the house when the feeds were off. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to say Kyle's racist.
No, I actually don't.
I personally don't think Kyle is racist. I think that Kyle has prejudiced thoughts in his head because he's never had the diversity. He's never been around. And I'm just going to say it. He's never been around black people.
Yeah.
Where he lives, it's white. It's Snow White. I'm sorry, but it is.
It is lily white, so to speak.
Exactly. You know, he's talked about how his high school had 1,700 students, and only 3 of them were black, and they were adopted. So that's how, and being in the Mormon church, that's how sheltered, and I say kid. I know he's 29 years old, but to me, he's still a kid because he hasn't had any life experiences.
I can see that. I think I agree with you that I don't think that Kyle is racist. I think he has some internalized biases, like you said, that he has to work through. Mm-hmm. Now, and I will say that I don't think thinking a cookout 2.0 is forming around you is racist.
I don't, but if he had seen some signs, I could agree with you. But there were no signs.
My having that thought to me isn't, because it's got to be something. Maybe this is a thing that's happening. The difference is, and where it crossed the line for me, was acting in accordance of your own biases, and then when he turned on Joseph and called Joseph, there was that moment with him and Alyssa are in the room, and he called Joseph a scumbag and a terrible person and all of that. I went, okay, there it is. There's that line, because Joseph has been nothing but loyal.
He called him a scumbag. He said that Monty was loud and aggressive.
Yeah.
He said that Terrence was loud and aggressive.
Which turns out
and I watched the whole pool table scene where they were talking about using the veto to get Alyssa out. He was saying that Monty, Taylor, and Joseph were loud and aggressive, and they were coming at him, and it was just so awful. And I'm like, bitch, please, that was a conversation.
That was a conversation.
If that scared you, you need to go back to home to mama.
Right.
I almost said a bad word. But yeah, you need to get out of here with that.
Listen, we cuss on this channel. I don't know what to tell you. We cuss over here. It just is what it
I
is.
don't know. I mean, I try not to drop the F-bomb. So.
Listen, we cuss over here. There's a reason that not for kids button is pressed.
Exactly.
Because I said the other day when we were in that live that I could not do Big Brother because the way that my mouth is set up, I am uneditable. Because I would have been like, F all and fuck all you. And everybody live in your houses. I would have immediately, had Michael come to me. I understand Michael's reasoning for waiting. Two things can be true at the same time. It can be the right thing to do and also dead wrong for the way that you did it. If Michael had come to me 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think it was 3 weeks if I'm
It was 3 weeks ago. It was when Daniel and Kyle.
It was Daniel got evicted.
HOA.
And that was, it was 3 weeks because it was my birthday weekend.
Yep, that was Michael's HOH.
And I said, if 3 weeks later you come to me and tell me these things, I'm cussing you out immediately. Mm-hmm. Because my first question will be, what is it about you that made Kyle think that was okay to come to you about? Because he didn't go to Turner about it.
Yeah. He talked to Turner about the alliance, but
he didn't
say anything about the cookout. He just wanted to see if he could pull Turner away from there. And when Turner was a dead no,
he let it go. You know, what was it about the two of you that made him feel comfortable enough to come to you and be as explicit about it as he was?
Yeah.
You know.
And I honestly think that when the season first started, Kyle was really close to Michael and Brittany.
Yeah.
They were friends. So I think other than Alyssa, he felt closer to Michael and Brittany than he did anybody else in the house. I'm not saying that's why, but it could be a reason.
No, like
they were just they were just friends.
As someone looking outside, I can see all of that. But if I were in that house, that would have been my first question.
I'd be hell no. Why didn't you tell me?
Why didn't you tell me? Why you're supposed to be my friend? You didn't tell me.
Yep.
Especially Taylor. I would have been.
Yeah, livid. I can see him not telling Terrence and Monty. But at least tell Taylor.
Yeah, I would have been livid, and and had he said because it wasn't good for my game, I would have been like, you know what, I can't even argue with that. It wouldn't have been good for your game at that moment.
No, and it's still not good for his game.
No, it's still not.
And everybody says, "Oh yeah, it worked out perfectly." No, it didn't. It just made a bigger target on his back. Terrence is going to go into that jury. My video tonight is going to be hot. Believe me. Terrence is going to go into that jury. And he's going to take that jury, and he's going to tell them what an SOB Michael is.
Yep.
And he has got 4 weeks in that jury house with those people.
His best bet.
How many minds you think he will change?
Everybody. Honestly, his best. If I were Michael, and this is going to sound terrible, Terrence, him knowing that Terrence is going to do this, if I were Michael, I'm like, look, Brittany, you wasn't going to win anyway. Like, I need you to go in to be the antidote to Terrence. Yeah. That's how I would play it.
Because the only ones that will fight for Michael is Brittany and Taylor.
Yeah, and
that's it.
And if he sends Taylor in, like if he tries to pull that
America, is he's done.
He's done.
He doesn't even have to do anything, say anything, post anything. He's going to be canceled immediately.
Done. He's done.
Anybody that gets Taylor out this year, they're going to be done.
They're done.
I don't care who it is.
Brittany is going to be his best bet to get in there and be the antidote to whatever Terrence Poole is saying.
But honestly,
I don't think Brittany.
If you want someone to go into that jury house to try to be the antidote and try to talk to people and convince people of that, you're going to send in Brittany?
Who else?
You think people go, listen to her?
Who else is going to do it? Who else is going to do it?
I'm just saying, it's kind of like I said, the conversation that she had with Kyle. In her mind, in her heart, she thought she was going in to make him feel better.
Oh.
And she reminded him, America's watching you. They've seen everything you've done. You're going to have to walk out in the audience and get booed. And, she's trying to make you feel better. by saying this has happened to guests in the past.
Right.
So he's going to know this is going to happen to me.
This is going to happen to me. This is what I have to deal with. But at the same time, it's not going to be a shock. You're
No.
you're.
No, I'm just saying, Brittany is not the best.
She's not the best
person
advocate.
to have a conversation.
No, she's not the best advocate. Speaking of, I mean, I don't love Brittany. I think that do you believe that Michael is carrying Brittany on his back this season?
Yes.
Okay, you think?
Yes.
But
if you look at, you haven't watched a lot of the seasons, but there's been a lot of times when you've got a player like Michael that busts ass, makes the move, wins the comps, works their ass off the whole season, and brings this buddy with them. And because something that they've done to piss off the jury, that somebody wins $750,000. So if he brings Brittany,
Brittany's got that money.
There's a chance Brittany will win because they're going to be so pissed off at Michael. But even Terrence is saying, I don't want to give it to either one of them. If you can't get Michael out, get Brittany out. I don't want them two sitting in the two chairs at the end because I don't want to give either one of them that.
Actually, a lot of people have been saying that if it's between those two, it's gonna be. Honestly, right now, who I want to be sitting in those two chairs are Monty and Taylor, and if not Monty and Taylor, Monty and Turner and Taylor. I want Taylor in one of those chairs.
I think Taylor will be in one of those chairs. I don't think. Well, Michael and Brittany's not going to take her out, especially not right now because she's a number for them.
Yeah.
Monty's not going to take that shot. I don't think.
He wouldn't take the shot unless he absolutely had to.
Exactly. Alyssa might, but I doubt. I don't even think Alyssa would. I don't think there's anybody in that house that will take Taylor out right now.
Partially, like, Taylor karma is real.
It is real. Just look at the hit list.
Taylor karma is real. Anytime, and Turner said it, anytime somebody puts Taylor up, if you don't get her out, you're the next one gone.
You had Amira gone.
Yep.
Then you had Nicole gone.
Yep.
Then you had Daniel gone.
Yep.
Then you had Indy gone.
Yep.
And now you got Joseph gone. Well, Joseph didn't do anything wrong.
Joseph didn't do anything.
We'll talk about that in a minute because I have an opinion on that. But Joseph's in the jury. And now Terrence going to be in the jury.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just one by one.
One by one. Just
that karma train is taking them out. They picking them up left and right.
It's I'm here for all of it, personally.
Yes.
I think that Taylor has been playing this game so well by doing so little.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, her and that bag of Lay's have just been watching.
She definitely gonna have her a sponsorship when you get out. And she gets out, you watch.
That she better be because I don't even like potato chips like that, but every time I go past them, I'm like, let me go get me some Lay's for Taylor so I can eat my Lay's while I'm watching Big Brother.
You said that she's doing minimal. I disagree with that because it doesn't have to be winning the comps. She's had to survive in that house and put up with the bullshit that those people have given her since this game started. She's had to deal with a lot of mental shit.
Yeah.
So she's done a lot, in my opinion. She's done a lot. Because she held it together. She hasn't lost her shit on it.
I almost said something really bad. I almost did. And I thought to myself, because I'm just going to say it. Paloma got herself out week one. She couldn't deal with it. And she was the ringleader of it.
Yeah.
And you have Taylor, who up until Daniel left, was catching the brunt of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I think about how Taylor was treated at the beginning of this, it makes me like sick to my stomach and angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and then to kind of go back and I was like, let me see. I was like, is this the worst that a house guest has ever been treated? And it's bad, but there have been
Yeah, there's been worse.
There's been worse, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh God, and the thing is, the show was much better about showing that stuff. It felt like.
Yeah, I haven't even looked into it, but I guess I need to look into it and find out when Allison Grodner took over as producer.
Because like this, like,
I wonder how long she's been the producer of Big Brother, because she can't have been there all this time.
Because Kyle got the good boy edit.
Oh hell yeah, he did. They made that look like it was all Michael and Brittany. They got the villain edit.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna tell you, they were wrong.
Yeah,
in my opinion, this is a situation that you never use for game. If Taylor is your friend, you should have went to Taylor immediately as a friend. To hell with the game. On issues like this, you need to stop and say something.
Right.
It's just it. You don't wait 3 weeks and use it for strategy. And like you said, A and B can be true. Was it a good move to help keep Monty and Taylor and him and Brittany intact? Yeah. But it was a dirty ass move too.
Yeah, it was dirty. It was a dirty ass move. It was wrong in those ways, but it was the right thing to do for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And for me, that will always be a stain on the legacy of Michael. You know, saying Comp Beast, his social game is great. Because
when you look him up from years to come, what are they going to say?
They're going to say,
what's the first thing you're going to read?
He's a Comp Beast is the first thing. The second thing
I don't think so. I think the first thing will be that he didn't say something. That he had, it'll be something to the effect that there was racial issues in the house and he didn't speak up. I think that'll be the first thing. Because remember, the media wants the, how do I put this? I don't even know how to say it, like the most exciting,
the sensational story.
They'll draw you in the most sensational thing, because that's how they draw you in.
But
I don't think it's gonna.
But I also think that, and I would agree with you if Kyle had not been given the edit and the stories that he has been, because right now Kyle's story is a redemption arc that I do not believe it should be. He hasn't done the work yet. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it is.
And I do believe he's truly sorry.
I think so too.
Watching the conversations that he had with Terrence and Monty specifically, I do think he's sorry, and he knows how badly he hurt Monty. He considered Monty a friend.
What I'm worried about is Monty he would have done this and he feels bad. He goes back to Utah and someone says, you know,
you were right. You didn't do anything
you didn't do anything wrong.
You just overreacted. That's what Monty said. That's what he is saying as well. Is he could very well go back into the same people that are comforting him and telling him he did nothing wrong.
Right.
And then he's right back in the situation.
He's right back. Not only is he backward in his position, he's further back because now there's resentment that he went through this thing and that people put him through this terrible. It's Daniel, because when Daniel came out of that house, he was
awful,
very remorseful, and he wanted to. You know, he was going to go back and look and see the things that he'd done and things that he'd said, and make his apologies. And now, when you look at
he made his apologies, but then he immediately
jumped right
started
back.
doing videos about how sorry these people are.
Yeah, like you can't. So you learned absolutely nothing about with your time in that house, and that is what I worry about with Kyle.
And with Kyle, when he told his story, he said that his dad was in the military, and he spent 5 years on a military base. That tells me he was probably 5 years old when he went back to Utah. My dad was in the military. My dad spent 25 years in the military. So
Same.
I grew up an Air Force brat.
Same.
And really, I mean, it's like, well, then you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to say this statement to you, and you tell me if you get offended, because I've said it to people before, and they got offended.
Okay.
But I told them, I grew up on a military base, very strict. We had everything on the base we'd ever need. We never had to leave the base, period. When I left home at 16 and I ran away, at that point, I did not know that racism existed. Because you see every race on the base. You see interracial couples, even though I didn't know that that was a term for it. I just thought it was normal.
Yeah.
And people are, oh, you can't say that. Well, it's my truth. Why can't I say that?
It is very much okay. So I actually have a very interesting military childhood experience because my dad, we got stationed in Virginia, and because my little sister was a preemie, they put a freeze on us, and then they forgot to lift the freeze. So I actually spent 16 years on the same base.
Oh, wow. You're lucky, dude.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I've lived in California. I've lived in Illinois. I've lived in Louisiana. I've lived in Texas. I've been all over.
But I missed that part, like being able to travel and things like that.
And my kids are in the military. My son was in the Army. He's gotten out. My daughter just retired from the Air Force. Her husband is still in the Air Force. So I still have a connection to the military life, and Dad being retired and all. But it's like, if you want the most diverse, accepting place in the world, go to a military base.
Go to a military base. Because where we were, it was, you had the military base, and we had what they called an open base, which meant like the housing wasn't on base, it was off base housing.
Ours was off base housing in Louisiana, the same thing, but you just had to walk through a gate to get on base.
Yeah, you just had to walk through the gate to get on base, and the base was probably about like 4 or 5 miles away from the actual housing. And so we went to school, like where I went to high school at was like 90% white. And if you had taken out the military base side of it, it was probably like 96% white.
Yeah.
But
I went to school on base the whole time until I reached high school in Louisiana. And so even being in a high school in Louisiana, it's very diverse.
Yeah.
So I can walk into anywhere.
You walk anywhere.
I'm not intimidated. I'm comfortable. You like me or you don't. I am what I am. I'm nice to people. I treat people the way I want to be treated. And I think that's what you have to do in life.
Right.
And you have to teach your children. Because if you put 2 children in a room together, 2-year-olds, just take 2-year-olds. You take a white one and you take a black one. There is no animosity. There is no judgment. There is nothing. That is 2 kids playing together and having a hell of a time.
They're going to play and not care about nothing.
That's right.
But
that behavior is learned.
It is.
The behavior is learned. I believe that in my heart.
It is not only is it learned behavior, it is now there is some science that people will group with people that they identify with, but again, that's something that doesn't breed animosity and hate. The animosity and hate is learned behavior. It is something that is taught from from great grandmother or great and grandfather to it just comes down that line. And it and the thing about and we're gonna start to slowly wrap this up because we're hitting like almost an hour. Although I can talk to you, I literally could talk to you all day about.
We can do this again. Hey, why don't we do this every Saturday? I don't know.
We can. I'm down.
I love having someone to talk to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, I'm down.
That'd be great. We'll get together. We'll get something going. Maybe once a week.
But I think that there is something so interesting about us as like military. Like again, we grew up military, knowing that Kyle has that military experience, and knowing that it's there. You wouldn't think it to hear him talk the way he talked about people, because
But he
even
only had it for 5 years, so he's probably 5 years old. How much did he learn in 5 years?
there's a lot that happens enough.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm just saying, he left there and he went back to Utah, so that was it. The first 5 years of his life.
but I think that there's a we're gonna stick a pin in that one for our next conversation.
All right.
So I want to go through, and I just want to get a couple of words about each of thus far where we stand with each of the house guests, or how do you feel about each of the house guests? And we're gonna start with Pooch.
Oh, poor Pooch. Too confident. He made the utter mistake. He was too comfortable in the house. That's the number one rule. You never get comfortable in the baby house.
You were supposed to get comfortable week one, like
No,
not week
no,
one.
no, not at all. In my opinion, you never get comfortable because that's when they're gonna slap you upside the head and you're gonna be out.
Paloma.
Oh God, Paloma. Honestly, I just feel sorry for her. I mean, I don't think that she was in the mental capacity to even be in the house. Somebody dropped the ball there. If you have a mental breakdown in the first week that you're in the house, somebody dropped the
You
ball.
shouldn't have been there to begin with.
Exactly.
I agree. I agree with that. I think that's. I agree. I also think her guilt got to her. I think that's one of those ones where she realized she started something that took on a life of its own.
I don't think it was guilt though, Jay. I don't, because when she got out, did you not see the video she posted?
Oh yeah, I forgot about
video.
I forgot about
she
that
said
video.
That Taylor was bullying her.
And nowhere. Like
no, she's got some mental health issues she needs to deal with.
Let's see who was next after the two of them. Amira.
Amira would have been great at this game. She had the right strategy, but she overplayed too soon. I think if she had stepped back a little bit, she could have been at the end, and I think she would have been good.
She would have. Amira could have won this. I said Amira. This game was Amira's to lose, and she.
Yeah. Exactly, and she lost it.
Yeah. Nicole.
Arrogant.
I wanted to love Nicole so much.
I did too, but she arrogant as hell.
It's.
She was part of the even though she wasn't in the girls Alliance, she was still part of that clique. And she said some really nasty things, and I just.
And what got me is like, so the part of that girls Alliance was these were the girly girls, mm-hmm. And I'm like, first of all, Nicole is not a girly girl by any stretch.
Well, see, Nicole wasn't in the Alliance. She didn't know about the Alliance until I think week 3 or 4.
And quite frankly,
she just hung out.
And quite frankly, Taylor is the girliest girl there.
Yes.
That is.
But she's a pageant queen.
She's a pageant queen. Yeah. Okay, so Daniel.
Asshole.
Yeah, like.
Sorry.
Again.
Sorry, not sorry.
I was rooting, Daniel. I was rooting for you. I was, and then you just you. The moment Daniel could have won me back over had he not did that, had he not screamed at Taylor that way.
He didn't. No, even at that point, I was already disgusted with him. I was annoyed with him, not disgusted. I was annoyed with him.
Yeah, I was annoyed with him. That disgusted me.
Yeah, when he did that with Taylor, and the thing that disgusted me the most about that is you had 15 people in that damn house, and not a damn one of them stood up. Not a damn one of them men stood up and said, "Hey, that's overboard."
Yeah, said you went too far on that. They let it happen, and because at that point that was why the leftovers became a thing.
Yes.
But it was at that point that should have been okay. Now we've pushed this thing too far. This is too far. We don't need to do this. Yeah. So okay, so that was Daniel, and then all right, Indy.
Oh God, Indy. I loved Indy. She would have never won this game. And she didn't know anything about the American version. The only thing she'd watched was the Brazilian.
Indy was playing
And
a different game than the rest of everyone
she was
else.
on a totally different page. You know, you don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't do this. And like I said, the Brazilian Big Brother is a big deal over there. It's on 7 nights a week. And they don't do all this lying and scheming. I don't know what they do, but this is just listening to her. But she was so not playing our version.
No, when she looked over, she was like, I would never put you on the block." Okay, you have told everybody that you would never put them on the block. Who are you putting on the block, Indy?
Yeah,
At some point, you
exactly.
have to put someone. You're playing a completely different game than everybody else is playing.
Yeah, I did love her personality. I'll
I
just
loved
say
her
that. I
personality.
loved her.
I did not love some of the things. And again, because I became Taylor won me over with the way that she was being bullied gave me
Mm-hmm.
a soft spot. So anytime anyone said anything about Taylor, I was
You're
like
like,
an
no, I'm
attack
done.
dog. I was like, I'm done.
I'm done. Get out. Yeah.
Get out. You can get out. And when she said she wanted to blow her up, I was like,
Oh
I'm
no,
done.
when she's talking about throwing hot soup in her
Yeah,
face,
I was like, I'm done with you. You
I was
can
like, that's enough. You know, and at that point, I was annoyed with her because she was bossing everybody around and just being kind of rude. But
rude.
I think that was a. I honestly think that that was a cultural difference,
I can see.
um, where you know that's how I mean how to say it. Like when you have a language barrier,
Yeah, it's
I
some.
think it was like a cultural barrier.
That's how she may not necessarily mean it in the with it mean it to sound as demanding as it did.
Yeah,
I can see that.
yeah.
Let's see who else like so Jasmine.
Oh Lord, Butterbean's Jasmine.
Oh, Butterbeans.
The first time I heard the TV version of Her the Arts, I was like, "Are you kidding
I
me?"
can't do it.
Or watching her. Well, we haven't really got to watch a lot of comps this year, which we normally did in the past on the live feeds. But anytime she thought she was going to be on TV, she did that shit. And I'm like, number one, to me, it made her look ignorant.
It did. It did. Absolutely did.
And I don't mean that in a bad, I'm not trying to be mean, but it made her look ignorant. You know, you see, if there's a tornado somewhere and the news comes on, and they're always going to find that one that has no teeth, a beer in her hand, tank top, and can't finish a sentence for hell, and that's what they're going to show.
It made her sound bumpkin.
It did. It did. I didn't like it.
I didn't like
And
that. But one thing I will say about Jasmine is I did not like the way that I did not like how she was entertaining. Um,
yeah.
Muffin Gate.
Oh Lord, that was yeah.
I
And that
laughed.
damn boot that she wore around for
That damn
2 months
her
after
and
she
that
didn't need it.
damn boot. Like
Her foot was healed in like
that
3 weeks.
foot was it. I was like, I don't know what is she is
And
going.
when they took her scooter away, they actually had to force her to get off of that scooter. Well, then she demanded the boot,
Did
and
you
then
notice?
they took the boot away, so she demanded a brace, and the whole time she wasn't hurt.
So what the funny thing was is, and I noticed this in editing on the episodes, is that anytime that when she had the scooter, they would edit in a sound of a squeaking wheel whenever she moved.
But that wasn't an edit, baby. That was the squeak.
It really did squeak like
It
that.
really did squeak that way on the
I
live
thought
feed.
they
Yeah.
edited that. I
No, because some of the house guests even talked about the fact that it was so damn annoying.
I just knew that they edited that squeak in to be shady, and I was
No,
like,
no, it was the
perfect.
actual squeak.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joseph.
Joseph, I love Joseph. Um, if I were to call an attorney and I needed an attorney, he would be the first damn one I called. But I didn't like the way that he used his looks and his charm to manipulate the girls to get them to do what he wanted to and get information out of them.
He
It's like
definitely
he walked in a room and they were like, oh, and they can't even think for themselves.
he knew he was pretty.
He was pretty, but I think he manipulated. What I tell everybody is Joseph could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Yes. Yes.
He is good at what he does. When he said something, it didn't matter really if it was talking to the men or the women. He made a way, or he had a way of getting them to do what he wanted them to do. And Joseph never had to get any blood on his hands. If he had to win HOH, there wasn't a damn person he could put up because he was good with everybody.
That's why I truly think Joseph was throwing through 90% of his comps.
Oh, yeah. I thought that too. But then when he didn't win the Power Veto when he was on the block, I was like, well, maybe he didn't.
Well, the way Terrence had a unfair advantage in that comp
because of the wind.
Because of the wind.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, because let's be real, Terrence didn't win a comp. Terrence got second place in a comp, and that's
I say that all the time. He didn't win HOH.
He didn't win anything.
Place that ended up in the back card.
So let's not give him something that doesn't belong to him.
If you want to look at it, he's won one veto, and like you said, he had an advantage.
And he had an unfair advantage on it. So he's not really won anything. I'm just gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
I love Joseph. I think that I really hope that when they get out of this house, that Joseph and Taylor become a thing.
There are reports that Joseph has told somebody in the press, I don't remember what it was, I'd have to find it again, that he did have feelings for Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping it's true. I'd love to see them together.
I would love to see like that. Put them on a reality show and let me watch them.
But my thing is, if you, and I don't know this because we haven't seen Joseph or heard, or he's still in the jury house. But if you don't have feelings for her, and you use that to your advantage,
then he can go to hell.
Go to hell. It's not you're a bad person.
Yeah.
You're not a bad person, but yeah, that's bad gameplay. If he was only doing it to get information and get Taylor to do what he wanted her to do, I mean, hell, they spent 2 or 3 days, 2 days in the HOH room together, training together.
Yeah, I don't think. I think that at first Taylor, and I think Taylor honestly did not want to catch feelings.
But she did.
She did. She ended up catching feelings, and you could see the hurt and on there. And it was another that Turner. You almost got me, you dirty motherfucker.
What did Turner do?
I said that when he turned on everybody and went in and started telling people, him and Kyle and Terrence, when they were telling Taylor about what happened and
what Joseph said,
and just to see the
the devastation
in her eyes.
And actually Joseph did say that. They showed the clip of him.
Yeah, he said it.
So why would you do that? Why would you throw her under the bus? When you know you're leaving, why would you screw up her game? Because you think you're screwing up Michael's game? So she's just a casualty?
I actually think I think that at that point, and this is, and I don't know this for certain because we didn't get a lot of live feeds from what was going on out there, obviously.
No, we didn't.
But I think that they had him so paranoid. Because you have to remember that Kyle had already turned everybody. Kyle,
he knew he was going home and he was trying to do whatever he could do to save himself.
Trying to do whatever he could do to save himself, and they weren't speaking to him.
Yeah.
And so, if you're in a situation, and I've never been in a situation, I've never been in...
But they were actually speaking to him.
Oh, were they?
I know there's a lot of reports on Twitter that they weren't talking to him and that they were treating him badly and all of that. And they were talking to him.
Okay.
They were still playing Chinese checkers. They were still talking. It wasn't friendly like it was before. but it was like they didn't totally shun him,
Okay.
like what Twitter said.
Okay, so that makes
Yeah.
that makes my left
The
for
little bit of feeds that I did get, they were off and on, but I have my computer on all day, and I have an extension on here that lets me fast forward, rewind, and go back and forth. So if I'm not at this computer, I hit pause, go do what I need to do, and then I'll come back and I'll catch up to where I need to be. So if there's any feeds that come on,
you
I
gonna
catch
catch
them.
him, right?
You know, but the feeds that I did get, yeah. Now at first, Joseph was pissed. Joseph was really pissed at Kyle to begin with, and him and Kyle had words from what I hear from them. But no, they weren't just not talking to him and everything. He just knew he was going home, and he was sad. And I know he wanted to talk to a therapist, and they wouldn't give him the therapist. He said that once when the live feeds were on, that he could really use the therapist, and they wouldn't do it. So he just saw his game coming to an end.
Yeah.
And he was very sad.
I think he was, and so I think that had a lot to do with kind of where his mindset was when he was having that conversation, and that was just him flailing. I think that was just him flailing and trying to save his game.
Crushed her. Crushed Taylor.
And okay, so that brings us.
I've not seen Taylor cry that much in the house.
Taylor,
she holds that shit in.
That just looking at her face and seeing those tears was like, Okay, so Turner.
Okay.
Turn Daddy.
Oh, Turner. I love Turner. I think he's weird, but I think he's weird in a good way.
I'm actually surprised that they have not addressed him. So Turner has made 2 references of himself not being straight, and neither one of them has made the episodes. They've only been live feed conversations.
Oh, they're not going to, because he talks about him being bi.
I've never heard of, like, I've never actually.
Yeah, he talks to everybody about it. He doesn't hide it. As a matter of fact, a day before yesterday, I think it was, Brittany had, whenever he was HOH, so it had to be like Tuesday or Wednesday night. And Brittany was listening to his music, and he came in, and she said, "I'm sorry about saying something downstairs in front of everybody. I didn't mean to do that." And he's like, "Oh, no, don't worry about it." He goes, "I tell everybody I'm bi." He's like, "Everybody knows that." He's like, "I'm not ashamed of it."
I hadn't heard anything, and I knew, and usually the feeds will, or usually they'll, like, especially like if they want to sound diverse, they
go off.
They'll immediately bring it, and I'm like, they didn't say anything. Like, I hadn't heard anything, and I think at one point he made a comment to Monty, that was highly suggestive, and I think it was like he was rubbing the aloe on Monty's back, and he said something, and everyone was like, "Wait a minute." Hold on a second. And I was like, that's when he became Turn Daddy. I was like,
yeah,
Turner, okay, kind of, all right. But I think what makes I would not have a problem with Turner winning. I just don't like how quickly he was able to go, okay, Leftovers is done. You know what I mean?
He wasn't really that quick. He was the last one. Like, Kyle and Joseph had already told all kinds of shit. Taylor was the last one. I mean, Turner was the last one. He was very reluctant until he found out that Terrence already knew everything. He's like, okay, I'm busted.
Again, the way they edited that made it seem like Turner quickly turned.
No. He was the last holdout. And for days, I think he didn't even say anything until day 3 or 4 back there, when he found out that Kyle and Joseph had already spilled everything.
Kyle spilled everything, and Joseph didn't have.
Well, Kyle did, and then Kyle spilled most of it, and then Joseph filled in the parts that Kyle left out because they were about Kyle. Right. So Kyle didn't tell all his stuff. So, but yeah, Turner was very loyal, and the thing about the Leftovers is they would have made it to 7.
They would have made it to 7
if Kyle had not gotten paranoid. They'd have made it, because he was the only one in there that was talking about turning on the alliance before 7.
And the thing is I don't. And Turner made a comment that he felt like the only reason he was part of the alliance is because it was his HOH, and I don't believe that.
It started in his HOH room on
Yeah,
Joseph's
right.
birthday, and it was him, Joseph, Monty, and Kyle,
Right.
and they formed what was called the
The
Pound.
Pound.
Said, all right, if we're going to do this, we need to bring in some more people. Well, we have Michael and Brittany because they're outcasts. We have Taylor because she's an outcast. Let's bring them in.
Right.
But they always intended to get them out first out of the seven.
Right. So that's why
the numbers.
So I never understood why when he said I felt like I was the only reason that this was formed was because it was my HOH. I was like,
no, he would have been in it.
I was like, he would have been in it anyway.
Yeah.
And then he said he didn't feel comfortable, or he didn't feel like he was that close to Joseph and Taylor. And I'm like, are you watching the same things I'm watching? Because
you stay up every night till 6 o'clock in the morning talking
to the two of them. Like, you're talking to them, and you guys are all up.
Maybe he felt like a third wheel.
Shoot your shot, dude.
I'm trying to give the boy credit.
Like, listen, Turner, then shoot your shot. Maybe you could have been in a triad instead of my.
Yeah. But he's a very Turner is highly intelligent.
Yes.
He is good with numbers. He remembers crap. He can tell you if you give him a music album. When did this come out? Whatever. He can tell you what's on that album. He can tell you the date it dropped. He can tell you what number it was in the charts. And it's just random music that most people don't listen to.
Didn't someone call him Rain Man?
I don't remember that.
I think someone called him Rain Man. Because it was a dust up on Twitter about it.
It was about numbers, yeah.
Yeah.
I probably.
And somebody was like, because there was a dust up on Twitter about it with people being like, "That's rude, and you shouldn't say that." I don't remember who it was that called him that, but someone did. I remember now.
Yeah, he's highly intelligent. I think that if it's a mental call, honestly think that Michael's going to be his match for Turner.
Because they've never been in a match. They've never had to do it.
They've been in a physical match. They've done HOHs where they were in a physical.
Right. Have they done a veto match together?
Huh?
Have they done veto matches together?
The one this week they were together.
Okay.
Slip and slide. Yeah, the slip
and slide one. They were together.
Yeah, but he was half of what Michael had. His tube was half.
Right.
Of what Michael
had. And he started with, and he didn't do.
But that's a more physical. And I think that if it gets down to middle, I think Turner's going to surprise some people.
I wouldn't be upset if Turner won. Turner's not one of the ones. Okay, Alyssa.
Yeah. Oh, poor Alyssa. Melissa is immature for her age.
Mm-hmm.
She strikes me as having to be in a relationship all the time. Like she can't be alone. So she falls head over heels like she did for Kyle. I don't think she's played the game. She's at where she is because of luck. Because there was always a bigger target to get at than her. Because nobody was worried about her.
And she's going to make it another week because there's nobody. Because now they want Terrence out.
Now, they are going to look at her because of her social game. Because all of them at different times this week have started adding up the jury counts. She is in those final two chairs. She's got Kyle. She's got Indy. She's got Jasmine. She's got Joseph. She'll have Terrence.
Yeah.
And then Turner. That's 6 votes.
Because Turner is in love with that woman, and I don't care what anyone says.
I don't think so. I think they're just really good friends. I have some guy friends that people have said, oh, there's something going on between them. No, we're just really close friends, and we like hanging out.
They might be close friends. They might be close friends.
I don't think he has a crush on him. We will agree to disagree.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. I got my two eyes on Turner and Alyssa. I feel like listen, we'll find out if all of a sudden now Kyle's gone.
And if they get out and it's like last year where Claire and DX got together, nobody saw that coming. It's like because I thought he was going to be with Chana. I'm like, what the hell?
Oh, listen. If we see them cuddled up on the pool floaty,
Oh Lord, that's another thing.
I know that you don't want to like discussing that, but I was disgusted. Do
I
you hear
just
me?
think, I just think that that's such a personal thing that to make fun of someone on something so personal, it just doesn't feel right to me. That's
I
why I don't discuss it. I
I
just,
I agree with you. I also look at
but they were on national
they're on
TV.
national television, and you did this thing on like
Yeah,
on national television on a pool floaty. You're gonna somewhat listen. The joke is
yeah.
right there.
And it's there, and it is, and it's out there. It's just something that makes me feel uncomfortable.
I
It's not something I would personally, because it's like, who the hell cares?
I
I
don't
mean,
I
think about it. Think about it. When have you done stuff and where?
we don't talk about that on the show.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
I
That's what I'm talking about.
I listen. I understand, and you know, I think the thing about that made it funny was, and I think had it they Kyle not done
Made his statement.
not I won't even say like the statements and the things that he had said. He's such a goober that that
I haven't heard that term in a long time.
that like you know, America, I want to kiss your face and make love to you.
Oh God, that was.
And then, you know,
Oh
or like, we're America's favorite couple, or like there
yeah,
were all
that
of
was.
these things that he said, and then for this thing
Yeah,
to happen and it go the
and
way
they
that,
hated him from the beginning.
yeah.
America has not liked Hal from the beginning of the show.
I think there were moments where Kyle started, when the leftovers formed, Kyle,
That's
his
true, because
stock
Hal
went
was the
up.
one that started it.
His stock went up. So the people were
His
like,
stock went
yes,
down when he started talking about dismantling
right.
it, because that would
Um,
have meant that you had to cut Tatum.
and
And
you
like I
won't
said, if
cut
they cut
Taylor.
Taylor, if Taylor Hale does not win this game, I'm afraid all of America is going to burn shit down.
Right.
I mean,
Okay. Look,
you're going to be
Monty.
the most hated person.
Oof. Okay, so Monty, because we still got like 5 names to get through.
Okay, Monty. I love Monty. I think he's got good gameplay. I think he's done right by being in the middle, letting them take shots at each other and just letting it go. I think he's going to be one that comes out here quickly, and everybody's going to go, "What the hell happened?" Because they're not looking at him.
I see him. I see him
And he
fighting.
says, "Oh, don't look at me. Look at that one.
Look at that. Don't look at me. Don't pay attention to me.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he's playing great. I love
Uh,
Monty, and I wouldn't be mad about him at all.
so
I think he.
I'm skipping Kyle and Michael because we talked a lot about
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Brittany.
Brittany is awkward, but I think that she means well. I really do. I think she's got a good heart. She just doesn't know how to play Big Brother. She can't win the competitions. And I do think Michael's dragging her along. But hey, if I don't know what second place is now, I think it's like $50,000 or
$50,000
$75,000 or
is still
something like
good.
that. So if you drag me to the end and I get $50,000, I'm riding that coattail and hanging on.
Listen.
Yeah, exactly.
Um. So I feel like we've talked enough, but like we know that this is a Taylor love fest over here.
Yeah.
We just love her. Is that everybody?
I think that is everybody.
If we forgot somebody, tell us. We'll hit it. We'll hit
Yeah,
it
I
next
think
time.
that's it. We'll get it the next time. But one thing I did want to say, and I had it written down, is that the casting that they do now versus the casting that used to happen, now they go out and they recruit the pretty people. They go out and recruit TikTokers and Snapchatters and Instagrammers, and they bring them in. It's not just people who applied for the show. Some of those people in that house didn't apply for the show, never watched the show, knows nothing about the show.
That
Whereas
makes
used
so
to,
much more.
yeah, Used to, it was people that applied and actually loved the show. And to me, it's a production. I would rather watch the live feeds than I had the actual episodes any day. I'll watch the live feeds all day long.
See the episode, and I knew we forgot about something, but we have to do this again because we have to get into that. We have to get to the editing of this show and how the timeline does not match.
Yes.
The time.
Next time we will get into it. Seriously, we need to make a plan because I like doing this. I think we need to make a plan where we meet once a week and talk about the week's stuff. How about that?
That's perfect. Perfect. Let's do it.
I think it's great. I love your personality. I think we click.
We do.
And we can agree to disagree.
I love it.
I like it. I love it. So yeah, I'll email you.
Yep.
And give you my phone number, and we'll go from there.
We'll go from there. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Mona, for being a part of this. Your takes were amazing. You were great, and this is going to be the start of something fantastic. I feel.
I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah, do you do Survivor too?
I do. I just found out yesterday that I'm going to have shoulder surgery. So this may be a good thing, if you don't mind, for a few weeks, because I think we can do this live, and I don't have to write anything down. I don't have to do all the stuff that I'm doing now, because I'm not going to have a left arm. So for about 6 weeks, I'm going to have rotator cuff surgery. So if you want to get together, I think we should do a Wednesday night Survivor recap.
We can do it. I'm down. Do you guys see what's happening here? We're making plans.
That's right.
I love it.
I love it too. I had a good time. I really enjoyed this.
I did too. Thanks, guys. We're going to go back and we're going to make some plans and happens in the background. So you guys have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody. We love you.
Love you. Mwah.